What's up, world? This is Alexander Playtime Williams of PlayTimeCares.com giving you a full NXT recap. NXT exclusively on the WWE Network. This is NXT 355, September 21st, 2016, Orlando, Florida, Full Sail University. Corey Graves, Tom Phillips are your commentators. This NXT started off with a recap of Samoa Joe humbly coming down to the ring from last NXT and admitting that Shinsuke Nakamura, the current NXT champ, is a good champ. You know how it happened. He asked Shinsuke to come out, asked Shinsuke for a rematch, and shook his hand, all that type of good stuff. Once Shinsuke started, celebrating with the crowd and whatnot, Samoa Joe attacked him from behind, gave him a spine buster on the steel steps, and messed Shinsuke up big time. Had him leave out on the gurney. So they recapped all of that. You have Samoa Joe, he comes to the ring, and I give you essentially the bits of what it is that he said. He said, look, I convinced somebody to give me the medical report on Shinsuke. And Shinsuke have multiple injuries, separated this, multiple contusions that. He's like, and it's going to take 6 to 12 weeks for him to recover. He doesn't need surgery, but he does need to rest and relax. Samoa Joe said, I'm not a patient man. William Regal, you come to the ring. You come out here. You're going to give me my title rematch against Shinsuke, or either you need to strip Shinsuke and give me the title and give it to his rightful owner. William Regal said, look, I'm going to take care of the mess that you made. You don't worry about that. So Samoa Joe said, okay, I wish it didn't have to come to this. He gets out the ring, go to the top of the entrance ramp where William Regal is, and put that medical report in William Regal's chest. He said, hey, until I get what I want, this is how the rest of your roster is going to end up. So William Regal obviously had a concerned look on his face. They switched over to a recap of the Cruiserweight Classic match between Cedric Alexander and a Japanese guy, I forget his name, but the one where Cedric actually ended up losing. But the NXT crowd, I guess the CWC crowd, was chanting, please sign Cedric. And then, Triple H came out and gave like a thumbs up. He shook his head up and down and gave the thumbs up to the crowd. Crowd went nuts. Well, of course, if you watch Raw, which the debut of the Cruiserweight Classic this Monday, Cedric Alexander was signed, and he did perform on Raw and did do a really, really good performance there. So they interviewed Cedric, and he said, look, it took me 7 years to break through to get to this point. I'm going to make sure that I perform well. I asked William Regal to give me the best that he has. He gave me a match with Mr. CN. So I'm going to beat CN tonight to prove that I actually do belong here. And then they had an interview with Liv Morgan about why she called out Asuka. Liv was like, look, man, I ain't come here to start at the bottom and stay at the bottom. Hey, I want to be the best I can be. That's essentially what she said. Asuka came up and was like, hey, you want some? Well, I'm going to give you some. Of course, she didn't say that exactly, but that was the gist of what she said. So we get to our first match of the night. You have Austin Aries versus Oney Lorcan. If you remember, Oney got a nice victory over the Perfect 10 Ty Dillinger weeks back. So really haven't seen him since then, but hey, he's back and he's fighting the greatest man that ever lived. Match honestly started off really, really slowly. The crowd was at just like a really slight murmur. And then Lorcan, he kept putting Austin Aries in a headlock. And that is what started getting the crowd a little bit. They started laughing at it because he kept putting them in it. Just kept finding a way to put Austin Aries in a headlock. And Austin Aries couldn't get out until he picked up Lorcan and threw him over the top rope. And, Lorcan ended up falling to the mat. To the floor. They were really, really physical with each other. They were slapping each other a lot. They was just slapping it, and the crowd was constantly, ooh, ooh. It was a really, really physical match, but it really never took off. In the end, Austin Aries was able to lock on the last chancery, and Lorcan, he tapped out. The match was a physical too, but it was still an average match. And then Austin Aries grabbed the mic and pretty much said Hideo Itami was a coward, and he called Hideo out. And Hideo came straight out. And when Hideo came in the ring, Austin Aries ran out the back of the ring, then ran to the front with his arms raised in victory and went to the back, of course, with the crowd booing. Then they showed that they have a guy that's 6'7", 320 pounds, Dan Matha. He's coming in 2 weeks. And they showed the interview of Gargano and Ciampa after the Cruiserweight Classic that ended up turning into a brawl between them and the Revival. Then you had your second match. You had Aaliyah versus Billie Kay. And at the beginning, it looked very, very orchestrated, very, very scripted. But, they did become more fluid as the match went on. Long story short, this was just a decent match. It was a 2 out of 5. Billie Kay got that big boot up and kicked Aaliyah in the face, and then, was able to pin her. And then they cut a Sanity promo. They showed that Sanity promo again. Am I the only one that's curious to know what the Sanity thing is about? I really hope they debut soon. I really do. Okay, back to NXT. You had Mandy Rose getting interviewed, and she just pretty much voiced the displeasure about Ember Moon, essentially stating that she doesn't look the part and that, she's not a real competitor or anything like that. And essentially said when she gets in the ring with Ember Moon, she's going to eclipse her. So it'd be interesting to actually see if Mandy Rose can wrestle. She actually did a lot. If you do the background check on her, she's been on the show. Tough enough, and she's a pretty strong person overall. Let's see if she can do something in the ring. They announced that Liv Morgan will get a shot at Asuka. Asuka and told her, if you're ready, let's see. So she gets to face Asuka next week. Then you had your third and final match. You had Cedric Alexander of CWC fame versus Andrade Cien Almas. This crowd was definitely, I guess NXT is definitely Cedric Alexander. They pro Cedric. I like anybody named Alexander for obvious reasons. First or last name, it don't matter. Crowd was constantly let's go Cedric chants and Alexander chants and Cedric chants. So they definitely knew who they wanted to win. When Cien was getting upper hand, they was booing a lot of time. But they both showcased a lot of great agility, a lot of great athleticism. The transitions from both of them, just the back and forth transition from one move to the next was really, really nice. It's that element that's been missing from the WWE for a long time. If you look back at my old post when I was recapping Raw and SmackDown, that's the one thing I said, that they need to bring the Cruiserweight division to the WWE. I'm glad that they listened to me. They both blasted each other the entire match. It was many near falls on both ends. Both guys did really well. When it's all said and done, Cedric was able to get that, as Corey Graves called it, the belly-to-back suplex that turns into a backbreaker. So, once Alex hit that, it was over. He got the victory over Cien. After the match, Cien was really, really a good sport and, shook his hand at first and then shook his hand and, brung him in for a strong embrace. Crowd loved it completely. That match was definitely a 3 out of 5. That was a good match. Hey, follow PlayTimeCares.com. I do more than just wrestling recaps. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Playtime Cares. Subscribe to all social media. It's always Playtime Cares. That's who I am. That's what I do. Playtime out.